Very last day of Black History Month. And as he said, speaking of history and the ongoing story of America, we want to shine a light on a horrific event that you might not even know about, but you should. The Orangeburg Massacre, 54 years later, survivors speaking out and demanding justice. ABC's News' Jade Lawson has more for us.
Yeah, I am. Right there. We're looking at the names of the students that were wounded on that night, February 8th. And there's my name right there.
Standing on the campus of South Carolina State University, Dr. Cleveland Sellers still remembers the moment that changed his life forever.
In 1968, there was one bowling alley in the county, but I think it was more so that in 1968, there were still establishments that were practicing segregation.
It began in February 1968 when students from then South Carolina State College and Claflin College joined together in protest in an effort to lawfully integrate the All-Star Bowling Alley after the owner, Harry Floyd, refused to accept Black patrons.
This was taken several days before the Orangeburg Massacre occurred. These are students marching past the area where the bowling alley is located.
Photojournalist and Orangeburg native Cecil Williams was there, outside the bowling alley, when the demonstrations turned chaotic.
By the 6th of February, where there was a confrontation at the bowling alley, I parked my car, went to the area where 150 students, along with city police, other law enforcement, were on the scene. And the students really were asking to be admitted to the bowling alley. And of course, the management did not want to admit them. Because there were so many people compacted in this small space near the bowling alley, someone accidentally broke one of the windows, and we all started running.
A dusk to dawn curfew cleared the streets of Orangeburg of normal traffic. The Negro College, where the trouble has occurred, also closed, with classes suspended indefinitely.
By Thursday, February 8th, the racial tension in Orangeburg had peaked, authorities and college administration enforcing the students to remain on campus.
Shortly after dark, the troops came out in force. They surrounded the college area, blocked the streets, and brought in armored personnel carriers for additional support. About 600 South Carolina National Guardsmen and 400 state troopers were involved in the security operation.
Most of us were up on the administration building a little further down, and the young men said that all the young ladies need to go back into the dormitory, and we did. Then the shooting started.
And I looked down, I could see the police down at the bottom of the hill down there.
How many gunshots do you think you had?
I couldn't tell you because they kept firing. They just went bam, 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 bam.
9 officers opened fire around 10:30 that night, allegedly provoked by a projectile. According to an FBI investigation, some officers later admitting they fired without warning. The officers said they felt endangered and believed the projectile to be gunfire, according to reports.
I was shot in the arm, the pit area that comes in here, right in here, and got down on the ground, and then I could hear people around me saying, "Help me, I've been hit, I've been shot, I'm hurt."
When it was over, 3 students were dead, 28 others wounded, all unarmed. Those killed, 2 South Carolina State athletes, Henry Smith and Samuel Hammond Jr., and Delano Middleton, who was just a high school student, was reported to be picking up his mother, who worked as a maid on campus. The following day, Governor McNair defended the officers' actions, saying they acted in self-defense. Those officers would soon be prosecuted by federal government for imposing summary punishment without due process of law.
Although it was later determined the patrolman's injury was caused by some type of thrown missile or object, there was reason to believe at that instant that he had been shot. The other patrolmen, with instructions to protect themselves and others, responded with gunfire.
In May of 1969, a South Carolina jury found the 9 officers not guilty after claiming self-defense.
What the state did was the state flipped them from being victims to being perpetrators.
Sellers, however, believes that to this day, Governor McNair was looking for someone to take the blame.
I think all of you know that Cleveland Sellers, who has been the leader in this movement, was one of those who was wounded last evening and is now in the custody and charged with inciting a riot and participating in the burning.
I was the only person arrested. If you look at me on the picture where I'm standing, I have something like a sling on my arm. And then they took me to the county council chambers and the courthouse.
Sellers was convicted for inciting a riot and sentenced to a year in prison. After serving 8.5 months, he was released on good behavior.
54 years later, has the state offered an apology to you?
No, they gave me a pardon, but I requested, and I have told everybody that I accept the pardon, but that doesn't clean the slate.
In 2003, former South Carolina Governor Mark Sanford issued a formal apology. 23 years following the tragic night, Sellers was granted a pardon, but says he has not received a formal apology from the state. ABC News reached out to the current South Carolina governor regarding the matter, but has yet to receive an answer. 54 years later, community members and students find ways to preserve the legacy and educate others to ensure this moment is not forgotten in the history books.
Every year, the Student Government Association come together with different organizations on campus to highlight the Orangeburg Massacre.
There's a fight for truth, and that's what we're still fighting for. We're fighting for truth. We make an effort. We want to talk about reconciliation. Well, you can't talk about reconciliation until you talk about correcting the wrongs that have occurred.
And our thanks to Jade Lawson for that reporting.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.